A very good afternoon to our viewers. Welcome to another chapter of College Dunya series on thoughtful leaders. Today we have Dr. Adit Gupta, Director, Model Institute of Education and Research, Jammu, with us. Dr. Adit Gupta is the Director of Model Institute of Education and Research, Jammu, and is also a Professor and Principal at MIER College of Education, Jammu. He has a PhD in the field of learning environments from Curtin University, Perth, Australia, and a master's degree in psychology and education. Dr. Gupta has over 24 years of teaching and professional experience at various levels and has contributed a lot for the promotion of education research in the institution. He is also an alumnus of the International Visitors Leadership Program of the US government. Psychological learning environments, educational technology, educational psychology, educational measurement and evaluation, teacher and student education are his primary areas of research. He has also participated and presented papers in numerous national and international conferences and has been working as a reviewer and assessor of research papers at the international level. With this, I welcome our today's guest, Dr. Adit Gupta, Director of MIER Jammu, and take this opportunity to thank him for joining us here today. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much for having me for this interview, and thank you for a very concise introduction. I'm really glad to be in touch with your viewers today.
It's our pleasure, sir. So I will start the interview. Firstly, I would like to, know your idea about leadership and how do you describe your leadership style?
Right. So leadership is basically a very personal thing with people. However, I like to consider myself as a very hands-on and a democratic kind of a leader. I am always of the belief that a leader is as good as his team. And the first principle of leadership that any leader needs to follow is to develop excellent teams, because it is the teamwork that makes the dream work. So unless and until you have good teams working with you, you cannot be a good leader. Then as a leader, you have to be very, aware of the process of encouraging and developing new leaders from within the people who are working in your organization, because a leader alone cannot do anything unless and until he develops more leaders like him who could take the organization further. So I believe that the leadership style has to be very inclusive. It has to take people along, and a leader has to be empathetic. He has to be compassionate. He has to take care of the people who are working in the organization. He has to actually put their needs ahead of his, and once he ensures that conducive work environment in his organization, only then he can be considered a successful leader. So I think that leadership has to be very inclusive, democratic, and a very compassionate process.
Sir, being a working professional myself, I can completely resonate with your point that you have to be a democratic leader, and in this current scenario, you have to be very inclusive in whatever you're doing. And if such values are imbibed upon at the time of education, I think it's going to help in their future, in their career growth also. So it's great to hear from a leader like you that such values are being, inculcated in the students from the very beginning. Sir, taking this point forward, so you are the leader in the organization. How do you exactly strategize about the key programs and plans for the marketing and administration of your school?
Right. So how we go about it is that the top management, along with the key leaders who are in the organization, we prepare a strategic plan. So usually our strategic plan is based on a 5-year approach, wherein we plan both for the long term as well as for the short term. We take into consideration a number of factors like what are the strengths and weaknesses of our organization, and what are the opportunities and threats that are available in the current scenario, considering the political scenario in our region, considering what kind of new programs other institutions starting. So it's a mix of everything. So we strategize based upon all these factors and develop a strategic plan for the entire organization, wherein based on our mission and vision that we have portrayed to all the employees working in our organization, we plan things forward, take things forward. And then, we have a lot of statutory bodies in our organizations, like the governing body. We have an academic council. We have the board of studies for various programs. So at every different stage of developing a program, right from its inception to its implementation, the topmost management works with the key leaders in the institution to develop a strategic plan for us. And then on the basis of this plan, we chalk out a marketing blitz for the particular program, which nowadays is more focused on social media. As we all know, that is one of the platforms that has grown leaps and bounds and has left behind the print media by a number of years. So we use social media. We prepare a lot of videos. We use the FM radio stations for putting our programs. And above all, we try to highlight the unique features of the particular program, because all programs are designed to help the students become more adaptable in the job market, and also they have the right kind of skill set that when students leave our organizations, they also find jobs very easily.
Right. So you talked about designing the program and how much importance you give to that in your institute. So currently in this dynamic world, it is very important, to impart practical knowledge, especially in higher education. And so how do you think the curriculum of your institute helps its students to tackle such real life business situations?
Right. So that's a very nice question. And since, I would like to point out that ours is an autonomous college. Which means that we have the freedom to design our own curriculum, to conduct our own examinations, and also to plan our own academic, structure in the college. So using this freedom, we have a very, an inclusive program of developing and changing our curriculum, say after every 2 to 3 years. And this change is done in such a manner that our curriculum is always current. It is, taking into account the current and the emerging demands that we have in the society. Say, for example, since our college is mostly providing programs in the field of teacher education, so like B.Ed, M.Ed programs, an MPhil program in education, and we'll be shortly starting with the PhD program in education. So we have made sure that all the new topics, like, for example, focus on environment education, focus on educational technology, focus on inclusive education, and then ensuring that all our programs are able to provide skills to the students in terms of life skills, in terms of personality development, their English language skills. So our programs are developed in such a manner that all these skills are taken into consideration, so that whenever a student who leaves the portals of this college is readily employable and he's industry ready. So we make sure that our board of studies and our academic council keeps on working and preparing programs that are new, modern, and novel.
Right, sir. Sir, I think in the current scenario, it is absolutely imperative that the curriculum is current, dynamic, and it's changed regularly, because things are moving so fast. Like you mentioned, a few years back, print media was so important, but right now, digital is the thing. Everything is on digital. So maybe including such things and all this. So keeping the curriculum current is, I think, one of the most important features that should be there, especially in higher education institutes of the country. And it's great to see that MIER is focusing on that. So moving forward from this, that you mentioned that the curriculum has been very current, and a lot of thought process goes behind updating the program. So can you please share a few key achievements of the institutes in the past few years with our viewers?
So key achievements are a lot, but just to broadly classify, we were the first college in the state of Jammu and Kashmir which became autonomous college, which is under a scheme of the University Grants Commission. And that gives us a lot of freedom to prepare new programs, change the curriculum, conduct examinations in novel manner. For example, ours is probably the only college that conducts an online examination based on an online quiz. which no other college is conducting at the moment. In fact, we were the first college to be granted, the college with potential for excellence by the UGC. We are the only college in the state which has a NAC A plus grade, which I think so. We are in the top four colleges of education in the country in terms of the NAC grade. Recently, our college was awarded with one of the most tech-savvy colleges in India, and in fact, we have a dedicated, paper on using information technology for teaching and learning for our B.Ed and M.Ed students, which no other college has at the moment. Recently, in the business, world magazine, the Education World magazine, we had been ranked as the #1 autonomous college in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. And our rank overall in India was 93. So we are very happy with the progress that we are making and the strides that we are taking in the right direction. And since our main focus is on providing quality education to our students, the institution never lets go of the ultimate, goal and the vision of our the management, and takes things forward in that direction. In fact, our school was also awarded as one of the most value for education institutions recently by the Education World magazine, and also as one of the topmost schools of having the best co-curricular activities. So it's not only academics, but ensuring overall development of students is a way of life at MIER.
Sir, I think, and it is very important also, whenever somebody is joining higher education, they are looking for an overall personality development, and
Exactly.
education is just the subjects, the examinations are just one part of it, and people are looking for a lot of different activities to develop them personally for an overall growth. So
That's
it is
right.
great that the college is focusing on that also. Sir, so also, you must have heard recently the Union Cabinet has come up with a new education policy. So,
That's
how
right.
do you think that's going to impact the future of higher education in India?
The new education policy has, brought a very meaningful change in the entire system of education. Since this policy has come after a gap of over 3 decades, so the changes are just humongous. So right from the focus on developing, vocational education and providing hands-on experience to students both at the school and the college level, this policy has, made strides towards ensuring that the gross enrollment ratio in higher education rises from the 26% to 50% in the next 15 years, which is going to be a huge challenge for the entire country. And in fact, the system of higher education is being completely revolutionized. Now there's not going to be any university that's going to be affiliating colleges. All colleges are going to be started as autonomous colleges, and there is going to be graded autonomy both in terms of administrative abilities and financial autonomy. So that is one major change that is going to happen in higher education. Plus, we used to deal with number of regulatory bodies in the country, but this new policy brings all the colleges under the ambit of one single higher education regulatory body, which is again a great thing, because all colleges will be able to get their matters resolved in one place. Another major advantage of this new national education policy is the entry-exit system. So now the student has an option that if after 2 years he is unable to complete his studies earlier, all the 2 years were just wasted. But now if he leaves after first year, he'll get a certificate. If after 2 years he leaves, he'll get a diploma. If after 3 years, he'll get a degree. And if after completing 4 years, he'll get a degree with a research element inbuilt. So a lot of changes have been brought in the national policy of education, and plus they are trying to rationalize the system of common entrance examinations, having just one entrance exam for admission to universities and colleges, which is going to, reduce the hassle of students of appearing in numerous entrance examinations. And with the improvement in the gross enrollment ratio, we'll have almost 3.5 crore seats for new students to seek admission in their colleges. So I'm very hopeful that this new education policy is going to bring very meaningful changes in the whole system of education, Now the only question is whether it is going to be implemented in the letter and spirit for which it has been designed. If that is done, then I'm sure that Indian higher education institutions would be able to compete with the best in the world.
Yes, sir. Sir, I think the major thing is that right now we lag behind major developed countries because of the how the our education system has been designed. And if we can evolve
Yes,
and work towards this policy, then probably we'll be able to be at par with them or compete with them in our
that's right.
education system. Great, sir. Any parting thoughts that you have to share? You want to share with the youth and the aspiring students of the country?
Yes, one thing I'd like to share with the youth is that, now is the time to bring a change in the stereotypical thought that all of us have had over last so many years. I want our students who pass out from our institutions to be passionate. They should be go-getters. They should be goal-oriented people. They should not be afraid of taking risks in life. And one major piece of advice that I would like to give them is that please don't waste your time listening to criticism from others. Just go and do whatever you feel like doing, because unless and until you do it, you will not know whether you have taken the right decision or not. So don't be afraid in life. And as it is said that, it is very important to fail, because if you broaden the acronym of FAIL, FAIL, which means first attempt in learning, so you will never succeed in life. So it is very, very important to fail. Just go out there, challenge yourself, and just dream big. So be passionate about whatever you do.
Right, sir. So, personally, I would say that this has been a very enriching conversation, and even I have learned so much, talking to you just for 15 minutes. I'm sure our viewers would have enjoyed this interview as much as I did myself. And as I
Thank you
end
so
this
much.
interview, sir, I would just like to thank you on behalf of our team, and that you took out your valuable time for this interview. I hope that the viewers have learned much more about Model Institute of Education and Research and the importance of higher education through this interview. I thank our viewers also for joining us here. Thank you again, sir. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.